一刀流居合獅子孫孫
うっせえ行こうお前は俺の仲間だ
何も分かった。
Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So before I get into this one today, massive spoiler warning if you're not up to date in the One Piece manga, because the big topic of today's discussion is based around the latest chapter 1069, so you have been warned. Now I don't usually like to make too many videos in a row about the same subject or character, but man, the latest chapter was just so interesting that I have to do it, and I'm sorry. And the big question I'm gonna ask today is, does RobLucci have ConquerorsHaki? And what's interesting is, I actually talked about this in another one of my videos, where I went through a whole bunch of characters in the One Piece universe who aren't confirmed to have ConquerorsHaki, and speculated whether I think they have it or not. And hopefully by the end of the series we get all those confirmations. And that video was called Who Else Has ConquerorsHaki? And my prediction when I talked about CP0 and RobLucci was that none of them would have ConquerorsHaki. So if it turns out that RobLucci does have ConquerorsHaki, man, I'm gonna be eating my words. Here's a quick flashback to that. I don't think anyone in CP0 has ConquerorsHaki. They are nowhere near the level of the Admirals and the Marines. Like, Lucci absolutely does not deserve it either. He shouldn't have it. So I was pretty confident, man, but hey, Oda is teasing us a little bit, because RobLucci showed up in the latest chapter, started beefing with Luffy in Gear 5th form, and Lucci's been awakened, and he's somewhat putting up a fight, although you can argue that Luffy's not really going all out yet. Although he's using Gear 5th, which is a good point in itself. Like, he's going in his strongest form from the get-go. So yeah, a few surprising notes about the last chapter, but I won't get too much into power scaling today, as the purpose of today's video is to look at the clash between Luffy and Lucci, where they create a really awesome scene back from Annie's lobby, and clash their fists together. But as we can see, there is black lightning, which makes you think, is this just another one of Oda's effects? Or does this mean Lucci has ConquerorsHaki? So I'll start to get into it. Now first of all, black lightning is a very inconsistent effect that Oda uses. Sometimes it is indeed used in ConquerorsHaki clashes, and sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's used for just basic punches or fights, and I'll show you a few examples later on. Now in the latest chapter you can see that they are indeed touching fists, so it's obviously not advanced ConquerorsHaki, or Conqueror's coding if you will. And that would probably be the biggest giveaway. If that happens straight away, and there was a space between their fists, we'll go, oh my god, Lucci has Conquerors. But no, at this point, we are not 100% sure, and hence this video. So I'll start with some examples where black lightning is indeed used for ConquerorsHaki clashes. And I'm not talking about advanced ConquerorsHaki clashes, just basic ones that we saw post time skip. And they pretty much happen arc after arc, starting from about Dressrosa. And a big one that came as a surprise was in the fighting tournament in Dressrosa, which was Luffy vs Don Chinjiao. And as you can see, when Luffy is launching his big Haki coded fist at Don Chinjiao, there is black lightning emanating. And during this fight, people are getting knocked out as well. But this one was a lot more clearer. Like, obviously black lightning is being used, but the narrators and commentators and people around had clearly established that Don Chinjiao had it as well, and we saw people fainting. So this was a very clear giveaway, but this is the time where black lightning was used in a ConquerorsHaki clash. And then later in this arc, Luffy vs Doflamingo. Black lightning is also used again, and as we know, both of them have ConquerorsHaki. And then after Dressrosa, we move on to Whole Cake Island and Luffy's iconic battle against Katakuri, and once again, black lightning is used in many of their clashes. So even though Don Chinjiao, Doflamingo, or Katakuri do not have advanced ConquerorsHaki, black lightning is still used. And then even when we move to Wano and start looking at old flashbacks, the first time Odin meets Whitebeard, as we know, he runs at him and just starts attacking, which is awesome, by the way. And they don't use advanced Conquerors, but they clash immediately, and once again you can see the Black Lightning. And as we know, those two are also both confirmed users of ConquerorsHaki, so this is one time where that effect is consistent with ConquerorsHaki users. And then even later on in Wano, like when Yamato or Zoro are fighting, when they do use ConquerorsHaki in their attacks, Oda makes it quite obvious with the Black Lightning coated around their weapon. And for Zoro's case, especially when he was fighting against King, he got some special green flames as well as the Black Lightning coating, which looks pretty badass. So there's been plenty of times where Black Lightning is consistent with ConquerorsHaki. But what's interesting, and I'll move on to my second batch of examples, is that there have been times where Black Lightning has not been used, but what we are seeing is 100% a ConquerorsHaki clash. And the way we definitely know it's a Conquerors clash is because the clouds in the sky get split. And I'll give you two good examples. The first one, also dating back to the Ennies Lobbies days, is Shanks versus Whitebeard. When Shanks goes onto Whitebeard's ship and they have a brief clash, it doesn't look like an advanced Conquerors clash, it's just a basic Conquerors clash. They clash swords, there is no Black Lightning, but the clouds do indeed split. So we know it is a Conquerors clash. And the second one, again in Wano, is when Big Mom gets captured by the Beast Pirates and she briefly clashes with Kaido. And I say briefly, but I'm pretty sure they go on to fight for like 3 days to a stalemate before they join forces. But they clash, and we don't see the Black Lightning, we don't see the advanced, even though we know they both have advanced. And once again, the clouds in the sky are split. So these make you think, just because there's not Black Lightning doesn't mean that it can't be ConquerorsHaki. Whereas when you think of the iconic Roger versus Whitebeard in the flashback, where Whitebeard comes flying in and they both coat their weapons and bang, the big advanced ConquerorsHaki clash and the clouds get split once again, like that's so much more obvious. And once Luffy eventually unlocks advanced Conquerors as well and he starts clashing with Kaido, like those are so obviously portrayed. So even with those few examples, we're starting to get the gist that it is a bit inconsistent. Now my last batch of examples show when Black Lightning is clearly used, but it is not for a ConquerorsHaki clash. So it is the polar opposite of the Luffy vs Katakuri or Odin vs Whitebeard. These are examples when Black Lightning is used and maybe it shouldn't, because it might be tricking the readers, although Oda does love to do that. And a good example is, again in Wano, which was Luffy versus Ulti during their headbutt clash, which is another sick moment, and you can see the Black Lightning is emanating from this. Now you might think, oh, but you know, Luffy has ConquerorsHaki, so maybe it's just his side of it, even though Ulti doesn't, as far as we're aware, and if she does, she probably should have done more with it, or made it clearer. Or even in that clash, you know, knockout fodder around them or something like that. But no, she does not have ConquerorsHaki. So like I said, you might be thinking, oh, they could just be coming from Luffy's side of it. But let's roll to the next example, which is Usopp versus Ulti. And as we know, Usopp definitely doesn't have ConquerorsHaki. Don't get me wrong, it'd be cool if he did, but he does not deserve that. And as you can see, in this headbutt, when he's getting creamed, there is also Black Lightning being used as an effect. And then recently in the anime, well I guess recently which was adapted in the anime, was Jinbei versus Who's Who. In that final punch from Jinbei where he collapsing, there is Black Lightning being used. Jinbei could have it, I mean it's not confirmed, and I doubt he will. Who's Who, in my opinion, definitely does not. But this is another time where Black Lightning is being used for users that most likely, 99% do not have ConquerorsHaki. Unless Usopp or Ulti or bloody Who's Who awaken sometime, but come on, man. So my point with all these examples is that it is very all over the place. So if we jump back to chapter 1069 and look at the Luffy and Lucci clash, honestly, it is inconclusive. Like, for us to confirm that Lucci has it, we're gonna need someone to pass out around him, or someone to comment on it, like Kaku going, oh, in the last 2 years he's awakened ConquerorsHaki, or to see an advanced clash. And again, I don't think Lucci deserves to awaken that. But you never know, next chapter might be the confirmation we're waiting for. And there is a break this week, so we'll be waiting until next week, Friday. But honestly, with the kind of writer Oda is, and how he's clearly buffing Lucci so he can somewhat stand against Luffy in his strongest form. This guy who just beat Kaido. I wouldn't be surprised if he gave him Conqueror's Haki, which I'm disappointed about, but I can see Oda doing it. And I guess another reason to support that is, if we look here on the One Piece wiki, and this is where we have the confirmed list of Conqueror's Haki users in the One Piece universe. And ages ago I actually made a tier list ranking the strength of all these confirmed users. So when you compare someone like Lucci in his awakened form with Haki, and he's obviously, you know, standing up against Gear 5th Luffy, which I'm not the happiest about, but whatever. And you compare him to someone like Don Chinjiao, who Luffy beat when he was fresh post-time skip, beat him with an elephant gun, I believe, in Dressrosa. Like, Lucci of now should be stomping Don Chinjiao. And Chinjiao has Conqueror's Haki. So keep in mind that having Conqueror's Haki doesn't automatically mean that you will be one of the top tiers in the universe. Like, we get that Don Chinjiao was a beast ages ago and used to fight Garp. I mean, you can't, like, old age doesn't mean you should get too much weaker. Like, comparing to Rayleigh, who's still an absolute animal. But, like, my point is, I think Lucci is stronger than Don Chinjiao. Don Chinjiao having Conquerors doesn't make him stronger, and so it's not unbelievable that Lucci would have it either, compared to the strength of some of these characters. Especially now, since he's fighting against Luffy, like, would you put him above Doflamingo, Katakuri, Hancock, you know? So look, in conclusion, I can't say with certainty whether RobLucci has Conqueror's Haki or not, but honestly I can see it happening, which makes me nervous. It's something that Oda may well do. But yeah, bottom line, it is inconclusive. I think we need a confirmation in order to see advance, but it could well happen, dude. So there you go. There are some examples where Black Lightning does indeed mean Conqueror's Haki, and many examples where it does not. So yeah, I guess we'll find out in the coming chapters, but I hope he does it, from my personal opinion. I'm just stubborn on that fact. Alright, well that's about it for today. Thought I'd make a unique discussion video. Thanks for tuning in once again. This channel is Anime On Demand, so if you have any requests for things you'd like me to talk about or compare, leave a comment down below and I'll give it a go. Always looking for new ideas. Until next time, have a good one. Thanks again, and I'll see you then. Alright, thanks guys. Cheers.